Remember last year, we started a Harahan Police Advisory Board to look into some of the issues that was facing the police department. The advisory board was commissioned, and Mr. Jason Brusick was the elected chairman or appointed the chairman of the advisory board, and they just finished their results. And I'm going to let Mr. Brusick take over and make the presentation.
Hello. Can you guys hear me? Yep. No? Yeah? All right, good. You never know with these things. Seriously, you never know. So, okay. I have some notes up here, and if you guys didn't see this, the dedicated, grab one of these flyers. It has some good information in it. It certainly doesn't hurt. So they're outside on the table if you want to grab one on the way out. At the outset, I want to say a lot of questions have come up about this millage. And one of the questions, first and foremost, was, holy cow, why is this being held on the 28th? And the answer is because it was an available day. We had submitted all of the information to Hugh Martin to be submitted to the bonding commission for the writing of the actual millage language, okay, for the resolution. And went through that process, came back, the deadlines fell just right so that we could utilize a day that was already selected for the sheriff's runoff. So I just want to make sure everybody knows that why the 28th? That's why. So let's go ahead and get into this. This is about the necessary adjustments to the Harahan Police Department salary structure. And I'm going to get into the 5 mills and what it actually costs here in a moment, but I think it's important to really look at what was our role. What were we supposed to do? We had a mission. We had to determine the scope of the problem, and we had to gather data first. And when I tell you we crunched a lot of numbers, we looked at every element that we possibly could across the police department. I went on a ride-along. I talked about that one day. We really looked at the police department, where they're sitting, and what they really needed. We also got a sense for the morale, okay, of the department. How is the morale? And gathering that data was essential. We had the problem: officer retention, longevity, and costs. Officer retention. We have had a substantial problem with keeping good officers right here in Harahan. That's a known problem. Everybody's seen it. Longevity. If they don't stay here very long, that means that they're leaving after just a couple of years. We are basically funding the training program for every other parish and department around town. That's our guys. That's our money. Funding them. Well, that didn't really work. That didn't make sense to me. And we also wanted to look at the cost. What would it cost to fix the problem? So ultimately we came up with, here's the solution: recurring funds, a stable budget, and reliable information. So when you look at the real problem, what's affecting longevity, why are they leaving? It's because they haven't had a pay raise in 10 years. These guys some of them are living practically at poverty levels. And it's disturbing. We've all heard it before. Some of these guys are taking home, at or around $300 a week. And we wound up digging into these numbers and figured out, we cannot use one-time money. Can't do it. We cannot use Department of Justice asset forfeiture money. Can't do it. All of those kinds of one-time money from Paul Johnson, which we appreciate very much, has to be used on things like equipment like cars, guns, and machine guns. Has to. There are federal strings attached to DOJ money, specifically. You can't use it for salaries, and you can't plan for it. We had to come up with a plan for the money so that it is stable, it's funded, and it's long-term. So, I wanted to also take a look at a whole lot of crime statistics, because we're asking police officers to risk their lives for us. They keep us very safe. So, Louisiana leads the nation with the highest per capita murder rate. Did you know that? How many people knew that? 1, 2. I see 2 people, 3 people. Okay. The highest. We had 11.8 murders per 100,000 citizens in Louisiana. Now, Louisiana also tops the U.S. in law enforcement officers killed in the line of duty. Did you know that? How many people knew that? I see one hand, two hands. Doesn't that disturb you? Doesn't that bother you? Bothered me. We're number one. We had 10 line of duty deaths, and when you figure that out by 50,000 officers, that's 13.2 cops killed right here. New Orleans is number 41 on the world's top 50 most dangerous cities list. In 2017, New Orleans had 40.1 murders per 100,000 citizens. They're 10 miles away. And we were the safest city in Louisiana. Harahan, safest city. We're 10 miles away from one of the most dangerous cities in the world. What are we asking our officers to do? As we did this analysis, we kept asking ourselves, what will it take to keep our officers here that close to New Orleans? Well, so then we looked at, what are our cops doing right here in Harahan? The answer is their jobs. Those are actual numbers from felonies and misdemeanors. You see, misdemeanors from 2014 to 2016 went from 587 misdemeanor arrests to 1,264 misdemeanor arrests, and from 135 to 304, constituting a 100% or greater percent increase. Think about that. That's right here. Did anybody else know this? Because as we dug through these numbers, it shocked me. But they're doing their jobs, and they're doing it well. They're focusing on felonies and misdemeanors. And they're succeeding. So, to keep qualified officers, Harahan must be competitive with other jurisdictions, you think? How many folks here know that other jurisdictions pay more money? What do you think? How many people knew that? Does that shock anybody? No? Didn't shock me either. Do you know how much? That much. New Orleans pays $54,000 a year. See that little red bar? I know it's kind of hard to see, but that says $34,616. That's our starting salary. Now, bear in mind, that's before all the deductions for taxes and stuff. Think about that. Are we going to compete with New Orleans? Probably not. Should we be able to compete with Kenner, JP, Gretna, Westwego? Yeah, we should. But here's the other thing. Jefferson Parish pays an extra $40 per month per year of service. So after 10 years, they're getting $400 a month extra. And Gretna pays 2% increase every year in a longevity program. And they happen to be asking for it. I saw online at some point somebody said, oh, well, Gretna doesn't need it. They're not asking for any extra money. Yeah, they are. They're asking for 8 mills. And their vote is on the same day ours is. They're asking for 8 mills. Well, Westwego pays an extra 2% per year of service. So when you do the math, I said, how much does it cost? Who here has any idea of what training costs are? You guys know what training costs are? I see some hands. Okay. A beginning officer salary is $2,867.83 a month. Average training period is about 6 months. To make them productive, they go through whatever course they have to do. They do a ride-along, and then they get to be out on their own after about 6 months. The training course cost, including bullets and everything else, is about $5,000. In fact, almost exactly $5,000. Harahan has lost 25 officers in the last 5 years. Well, let's do some math. 2867.83, $5,000 is $22,206.98, constituting a grand total of $555,174.50 lost. That's our tax dollars gone to other departments in other parishes, other areas. We are funding their training program. That's real money, guys. And take a guess. Who here knows about something called overhead and burden on employees? How many hands do I have? Oh, I see a bunch of hands. Good. What do you think the number is if you include overhead and burden? What do you think? How about $626,610? Yeah. So there's a real cost to losing these officers. So, what do we do? What do you think? We said millage, because it's stable, we can count on it, and we know it. That's the other thing. You have to know how much money you've got coming in. It's a reliable number. So, it's dedicated to the Harahan Police Department payroll, benefits, and expenses only. How many people read the resolution? I see some hands. Good. It is dedicated solely and only to payroll, benefits, and expenses of the Harahan Police Department. So, it's recurring, it's stable, and it comes with reliable information. That is the solution we were looking for. Stable and reliable. Let's look at the costs. 5 mils. On a $200,000 assessment value, that's about $100 per year, which means it's about $8.33 a month. That's not bad. And that's money that goes to our officers. Remember, dedicated solely and only. So I've been asked, what does that mean with regards to their take-home? How is it going to affect them? Well, that requires a program. Let's take a look. It costs, this is from the assessor's website, the assessor's database for the home values here in Harahan. I says, you know, an average of $200,000, that's great, but what's the actual numbers? And you can see we actually have them. The averages across somebody's house, we're going to collect about $21,359.25 from all of the houses that are worth, under $100,000. So their average cost is going to be about $3.17 a month. Let me ask you guys, is that reasonable for our police officers? Yeah? If you have a $300,000 house or more, $17 a month, is that reasonable? I think so. So 5 mils, when we were going through the numbers, at first we were trying to figure out 9 mils, maybe 12 mils, maybe 2 mils. We wound up doing the calculation to come up with what we thought was the sweetest spot, the average, the break-even point of what we need to have, what we have to meet the numbers and make it work. We have 18 officers that are under 5 years. This is going to be important. We have 3 officers over 5 years. Because for longevity, we also are looking at 2%. 2% raise, salary adjustment, year over year, compounding. So for a basic street officer, starting at $34,660, year 1, it goes up, they get a $692 bump. Then it goes to $706, all the way up to $827.39. So they wind up at $42,196.71 if they remain a basic officer. And my question was, is it enough? Is that enough? The answer is, I don't know. I don't think so. So we're also putting together, and we have put together a program to look at the actual payroll in their pocket at the end of the day amount. And this is important. If the Harahan Police Department gets this millage, they will be able to pay for the health insurance premiums so that the officers don't have to pay it anymore. And take a look at those numbers. The one on the left, the current system, that is an actual officer's paycheck. He takes home $589.31 every other week. Oh, yeah. Who here thinks that's reasonable? Anybody? Anybody? I don't. Under the proposed system, we would pick up the health insurance, dental, and life, which would result in $885.20 take home every other week. I know, I'm seeing some shaking heads. I know that's still low. But that combined with the longevity program of 2% year over year compounded, it starts getting to be reasonable. And it puts us right in line with every other department in the area. It really does. And yet, Harahan will remain the safest city in Louisiana, if not the safest, darn close, while at the same time providing the community policing that we like. I like that Officer Bloom came by my house, sat down at my crawfish boil, and ate some crawfish, got to know my son. That doesn't happen in Jefferson Parish, and it certainly doesn't happen in New Orleans. I love that it happened in my house. So, is it success? If we can retain the police officers through payroll adjustments, payment of their premiums, the 2% increase, we receive police longevity. Cops start staying. And that results in a happier community, happy cops. I have asked some of the officers if they would be happy with this. The answer is yes. So, I would like to mention the advisory committee. Tim Baudier took lead. Ed Kraus, Leo Savoy, Wesley Turner, Carlo Ferreira, and myself. I was the chairman. But I'd also like to say special thanks to a young lady who's not here, Jean Marie, our own Tracy, Chief Walker, and Keith Moody in the back. And most especially, all of the men and women that serve us as police officers. Thank you.